Hey everyone, welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about my top 12 recommendations for fall eyeshadow palettes. So I went through my drawers and I picked out the things that give me the vibes. Not all of these are purely for fall, but it's just the things also that I'm excited to use these coming few months. So let's get into it. I am just gonna take the first eyeshadow palette from my little mountain of eyeshadow palettes over here. This is a nearly natural eyeshadow palette by Glaminatrix. This is a fave in my collection in general, but looking at these shades, I just feel like this is very fall. Like the darker mauves, the grungy greens, it is neutral, but it still leans a little like into the colorful direction, and it can get a little bit smoky. We have some sparkles in here as well, which I love for the fall time. I just love like a little bit more heavy makeup around this type of year. So I think that this is a really nice palette to try. Like, it is such a good one. The quality and the color story just give me all the vibes. Next up, one that I think you can still find, and it's probably gonna be on sale if you find it. This is the Catrice Cosmetics Jungle Book eyeshadow palette in Bare Necessities, and this is a very fall appropriate color story. Like, we have some greens, we have some purples, we have some warmer tones, we have some golden shimmers. Like, this one in the middle is kind of like an antique gold leaning green, very sparkly. I really love the quality in this palette. Like, not all of the shades are as pigmented. These lilac ones at the top corner are not my faves, but like, there are a lot of beautiful shades in here, a lot of like softer looks, but also more smoky looks to do, and just very nice like sparkly options. I think if you can find this on sale, this is definitely the time of year to like grab this and do some looks with it. It just gives me the feels. And that's what we're looking for. I just want all the fall vibes. Then one that is a little bit unexpected for me personally, but I think you're gonna understand me. So this is the Norn's eyeshadow palette by Oden's Eye. They give it a little bit of a glow up, so it doesn't look exactly like this anymore. But this one, once again, we have some darker greens, we have some mauve tones, we have of course some more colorful shades, but we also have a little bit of moodiness. We have some dark red with dark brown. Like, you can go in different directions with this. It is, I think, a good transition palette. Like, you can add a pop of brightness in there still, but we have some shades to kind of like smoke it out, smoke it up, make it a little bit more interesting. This is definitely more of a colorful palette. Next up, the New Neutrals palette by GlossGods. I raved about this and raved about this last year, and I still think it's a really nice palette. And the thing that I really love about this is because it is neutral, but it leans a bit grungy. So it's really nice for if you're not that adventurous, but still want to branch out a little bit, do something a little bit different. You still incorporate fall into your looks without really grabbing for the berries and the plums and the dark greens. Here we have neutrals that lean a little bit warm, and then we have neutrals that lean a little bit green, and we have some sparkles. I think this is just a little bit more interesting, a little bit more different than your regular neutral palette. If you want to go a little bit more green, then the Dirty Martini palette by Glamlite is a nice one. This is a little bit more colorful. We have some sparkly shades in here as well. We have some dark greens, we have some blues, we have some olives. Like, you can go really olive with this, and pretty like bright olive. Once again, I think this is quite a nice transition palette because it can go a little bit more bright, can add a little bit of a pop of color. You can go like in the blue direction a little bit as well. And I personally think that a nice teal like this is very fall. So yeah, this is one of my favorite green palettes actually in my collection. I think this is a great one. And then to stay on theme with the cocktail collection by Glamlite, this is a chocolate martini. And I just feel like, love the makeup, chocolatey makeup. It is just very on trend, and this just gives you that like also a little bit mauve, also some warm tones, but also some chocolate tones, and it just goes from very light to very deep. You can go a little bit more smoky, but also a little bit more neutral. I think this is very like smoky brown, warm brown. I just love that for fall. Next up, we have the Oden's Eye and Makeup Just for Fun Flora Story palette. This came out in the spring of this year, and we have some beautiful purple tones in here as well, but a little bit more of the toned down purple, like the berry purple. And we have some greens in here, but also a pop of like brighter green, but also some sagey tones, some softer greens, like branching out a little bit from the neutrals. I think this is a palette that neutral lovers would still really like get on board with, especially for a party or a special occasion, like for different situations. Like this can be the thing that gets you out of your comfort zone a little bit without making you feel too uncomfortable. Like this is a really nice color story. Also the glitters, not the glitters, the shimmers in this palette are stunning. They're really nice. I can really see myself doing a little bit of a smoky purpley look with this in the fall. Like I'm excited to use this more. Moving on to the Dead Taupe palette. This once again is a palette that I can use all year round, that I would recommend for all year round. But something about this, something about the cool tones, something about kind of like the smoky browns, just makes me feel like I want to reach into this like in September, October. The shimmers in here are stunning. They are very nice and like silvery, but still not too cool. Like it's not too harsh. There's something still soft about them. You can make a really like nice everyday look with this, but you can also go really smoky. I really love the tones of this. It's if you want something cool tone, but you don't want it to be gray, you want it to still be soft, this is amazing. Then something a little bit more bold, but something you can still like dress down a little bit depending on the colors that you pick and how much you deepen up. This is the Wine and Only palette by Colourpop. It's such an oldie but a goodie, I feel. Not that it is years old, but it's just like we've seen this around. It's a well-known palette in the community. I feel like these red tones are a little bit toned down, a little bit smoky, a little bit like mixed with brown, which makes them really appropriate for more like smoky, softer red looks if you want to go the red route, but you don't want it to be as bright. Like it almost leans a little berry, but not too much. Like it doesn't go too far into that direction, which makes it a really interesting palette with a really interesting undertone. I personally really love this one with green eyes, with blue eyes. I think it really like brings something out. That's also why it's such a nice one to me. I think that this is a great affordable option when you want to add a little bit of color but still don't want to branch out too far. Like you want to go into the smokiness, you don't want to go into the brightness. Like this is a good one. Then the Jewish Place, the Rebel Army quad. I am not entirely sure if this is still available, to be honest. Should I check? Alright, it's still on the website. This has army shades, but they are not as sage toned. Like you can get something a little bit more rich with this one, a little bit less soft. Like some people don't like the softer shades. Maybe you don't like sage greens. It is perfectly okay and it's perfectly possible. So this one is a little bit more rich. It almost has a bit of a jungle vibe to it, more so than an army vibe, but there's something about it. I still feel like it's very fall, like, but a little bit more bright, a little bit more saturated, a little bit different. Like if you like another type of green, this could be something for you. Like the quality in this is really nice. I do feel like this is a bit of a companion palette because it doesn't have like an inner corner highlight. It doesn't really have transition shades. If you have a lighter skin tone, then this might be a little bit scary for you, but I still think that this is a really nice one to kind of add in. Like you could also do a liner, you can add a little bit of shimmer, you can just play around with this a little bit. Then I don't know if I mentioned this before in a fall eyeshadow palette video. I don't remember what I did before. Sorry if I repeat some. It's possible. This is the Nabla Cutie palette in Analogue, and this is a very interesting combination of shades because it is very chocolatey brown, but at the same time it's very warm. We have some really nice shimmers in here. I really like the shimmers in here. The mattes in here are also really nice. This is kind of like this cream to powder type of shade, the dark chocolatey brown. I really like the quality in this, and I just think because you have this mix of warm and chocolatey brown, like it really makes me think of the leaves turning, and yeah, I think it's very fall appropriate. Then I think the newest one in my collection, and one that I haven't reviewed yet, but I think it's safe to say that this is gonna be a favorite for the fall. Like it's a little early, but I just love this brand so much. So this is the Full Fantasy eyeshadow palette by Lunar Beauty in Laura Lee Los Angeles. I've done multiple looks with this at this point, but I haven't tried all of the shades. But this is such a neutral color story with a twist that leans towards the fall murky shades. Like we have some berries, some warmer greens. Like you go, like it's really neutral with a little bit of a touch, a hint of like something extra, something a little bit out there, something that we don't see all the time. And I feel like if you want, you can go pretty like smoky and colorful with this palette, but it can also give you all the everyday looks that you want, and you can go just in different directions. I did a look kind of like with these warmer greens and I loved it. It was so stunning. It was just like the hint of green that made it so wearable but still interesting. It's like, what's different? Like, there's something different about it. What exactly is happening here? It felt a little more intriguing almost. So I so far really like this palette, and I just think that they came out with this at the right time, and I can't wait to do more looks with this in the fall. And that's gonna be everything. Those were 12 palettes. This was a pretty quick video. I tried to keep it a little bit short. I've talked about these palettes before. I've done looks with these palettes before, so if you want to know anything else about these, I have videos about these. I'm gonna try and link them down below. And then yeah, that's really gonna be everything. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe, and then we'll see you in my next one. Bye bye.